Hello, my name is Jimmy Vegas and welcome to this, the 10th in a series of video tutorials for Unity 3D. Now, for those eagle-eyed viewers out there, you'll have noticed that the thumbnail for this video series has actually changed. It's no longer a blue background as such, it is actually a scene rendered in Unity. The reason for that is because our game has got to a point now where I feel it will start looking more like a game rather than just a tutorial series. So as of probably the end of next tutorial, what you see in that picture will actually look like our game. So in this episode, I know I've been promising fighting for quite a while, but I don't think our game is quite at that point yet where we can create combat. There isn't enough in the world at the moment. So what we're going to look at for the next couple of tutorials is a few new things, like importing different assets, creation, mood lighting and whatnot. But there will be scripting coming up as well, so we're getting back into that. Once we have our world looking like a world, that's when we'll look at putting in some enemies. Okay, so for this episode what we'll be doing is putting in a new little village. We'll be looking at some fences, re-looking at lighting again, and let's just see where it takes us. So, first off, we'll zoom out and just have a quick look around here. I think what we'll do is, if we go here in a hierarchy to our terrain, select the paint tool, the grass, and what we'll do, I think we will just erase all of this just to get it back to green. Because when we originally did it, it was just to try that out, just to see what it would look like. The mountains should be okay, so we'll leave them for now, but all this area here, let's just quickly get rid of it all. I think that'll do for now. Okay, so another thing we'll have to deal with is over here. You can see all the protruding bits from our original village. I think we may cheat our way around that. Best thing to do is if we take one of our logs over here, duplicate, and let's pull it out this way to here. Let's rotate it upwards again, so the X rotation back to 0. And we'll just pan our camera around and zoom out. So if you take it and just put it all the way over to our village, like so. Keep going. There we go. How close are we? Let's have a quick look. Not too close. Okay, so let's put it about there. Zoom in. F to zoom in, by the way. So if we align it, let's say somewhere here, down towards the ground. And up touch about there. Let's quickly pan around. Let's bring it a tiny bit back. And we'll also bring it right against here. Let's also maybe bring it out this way a touch. About there. Okay, so essentially what we're going to do is create some massive sort of logs, so as it kind of hides the hideousness of this, because I mean, if you've fixed it in the meantime, been very precise, then by all means you can skip all this bit. I mean, effectively it's still going to be part of our log cabin, because I'm not renaming all these logs. if you want to create a new empty object in the hierarchy, then it's entirely up to you. I'm just doing this to kind of cheat a little bit, as it were. Okay, so I've got all them selected. So if I reselect them all here, it'll probably be all these bottom ones in the hierarchy. One more. Duplicate and pull out, and again, and again. So all I am really doing is hiding things I don't want the player to actually see. I mean, realistically, it's probably not the best way of playing with Unity. The best thing to do would be to actually fix it up so as it looks right, rather than hiding. But at the moment, hiding it is probably best and quickest way of doing it. So all I'm doing at the moment is the usual Control D to duplicate. Okay, I'll leave it there for now. But all I'm going to do is, probably not in a tutorial, is build a fence around the rest of it. So if you come to a tutorial and there's a fence all the way around this village, don't worry, you haven't missed anything. But all I'm going to do is just delete one or two of these, just to make it look more like a fence sort of thing. Does that make sense? So it looks a bit more natural rather than unnatural. I think that'll do for now. In fact, what I might do, no, I won't bother. I'll sort all the rest out another time. But if you want to, you can carry on all the way around instead of wasting time. Okay, so what we'll look at now is over here in a bit of space. I am going to put in a little village. So if you click on your assets folder up here, at the very top one, and these assets here that you can see, they will be available on our website, which you can see in the description. We have a new website now, which is a lot more reliable than the old one. So once you have the assets, if you click on the folder Small Town and drag the entire folder into your asset folder here, and it will take just a few moments to import. There are some, not large, but a couple of megabytes in them. Now what we are importing are actual objects. You'll see an error down here. To clear that, if you go to console here and then click clear, nothing to worry about. Yes, it's just assets. This is essentially it's something somebody has created in a program like Blender or 3D Studio Max. I can't actually use them programs, so I have taken these assets from a freely available asset website, which is also in the description if you want to check that out. Any assets we use here are freely available. Credit goes to the original users on the website. So if you go into the FBX folder within Small Town, you'll notice 3 objects. We have House 3, Lantern, and Townhouse. Now what we'll do is, if you click on House 3, drag and drop about there, you'll more than likely see nothing appear. It is in fact there, we just need to rescale it. So over here, let's change the scaling to maybe 50, 50, and 50. Still looks a little bit small, I think. Oops. Just a little small. I think we'll need to increase it. So if we change it to maybe 100 by 100 by 100. That looks slightly better. Let's also change the rotation on the y-axis, and let's change that to 90 degrees. So we change our house the other way around. Now you'll notice there is a door just here. If we were to go into the door, we would just go through it. The reason for that is at the moment there is no box collider on the object. Strictly speaking, we won't be able to go through the door. However, we will come to that at a later date anyway. We'll be doing some teleporting, which is where the scripting comes in. So for now, over here on Add Component, go to Physics and Box Collider. Okay, next, down here, Townhouse. Do the same. If you drag and drop about, let's say, there, change the scale again to 100 by 100 by 100. In fact, apologies, the Y scale on this one should be 600. Like so. Let's change the Y-axis on this to, let's say, 180. So as it looks, something like that. We just need to pull it out of our terrain, like so. Okay, so now we have two houses. What we'll do now is we will take this house here, Control D to duplicate, and pull it out this way. Let's see, let's change the Y rotation to 270 to turn it round, and let's pull it out this way a touch. And let's take this house again, Control D to duplicate, and let's pull it out this way and across here. We won't rotate that any further. Okay, so here in our hierarchy it's starting to get slightly messy. So I'm going to collapse the log cabin. I'm going to Game Object, Create Empty. We'll rename this one to Village 002. And what I'm going to do is drag and drop all the objects we've just created into that folder. That one and that one as well. So if we take them and drop into Village 002. Like so. Okay, so let's see, what were these cubes? Oh yes, that's right, them cubes with the campfire if we created last tutorial. Let's just, yeah, it's alright, that's in there. Let's get rid of campfire. Let's drag them into the campfire. I should have really done that last tutorial. I'm not going to rename them. You can if you want to. It's entirely up to you. But seeing as they won't have any further use outside the campfire at the moment, we'll put them straight in there unnamed. Okay, if you remember a couple of tutorials ago we set up some enemies. I'm just going to delete them because we're going to put some proper enemies in at a later date. And just for one more thing to clear up, on our main camera, if you remember last tutorial, we added a weapon. I am going to get rid of that because we will look at much better weapons in a couple of tutorials time when we actually do combat. Okay, so back to our little village. We have the 4 houses. And just to double check, on this first big house here, Add Component, Physics, Box Collider, because I don't think we added it on that one. We should have it on this one. Yep. And this one we will need to add component again. Physics, Box Collider. Okay, so we have a little town which isn't really looking too much like a town. So what we'll do is on our terrain, on the paintbrush, you'll see we've not really got anything which looks enough like a path. So this terrain path here, let's put it in, let's see, which folder can we put it in? I'll tell you what, let's put it in this Village 001, next to this other path. So if we drag and drop over here. It should be a little bit darker than our original path. Once it imports, obviously. There we go. And edit textures. Add texture. And what we'll do is drag and drop there. That's another way of doing it instead of selecting select. Oops. I clicked X instead of add. It's a bit silly. So click add. Okay, now what we'll do is let's make this look more like a village with a few little paths around, like so. Let's put a path there. And it's not fantastic, but it's starting to look a bit more, somewhat like a village. So if we do that, and let's keep it something like that for now. Okay. Next, what we'll do is if you click back here on the assets, and the other folder, which is in the assets on our website, is fence. So if you drag and drop that entire folder into here and give it just a moment, it will appear here. And if you go in, you'll see two assets you can use. This one, if you drag and drop, let's say about there, and we'll change the scale again. Let's change it to, let's see, 50 by 50 by 50, still too small. I think 100 is probably our best option. Let's have a quick look. It still looks relatively small, but yeah, well, let's try 200, 200. 200. Let's see, that's too big. We need somewhere in the middle. So 150, 150, 150. And that looks about right. So let's change the rotation on the y-axis to 90. And let's drag it turn it round, and let's put it just there. Okay, so now what we'll do is we will take this and drag and drop onto village 002, and you'll see it appears there in the hierarchy. Next, down here, add component, physics, and box collider. And all that will do is that will stop our player being able to walk straight through it. So next, if we duplicate, Control D, duplicate, and pull it outwards, and if we do that again, and this time if we rotate here on the y-axis 270, I think it's too much, isn't it? Sorry, it's 180 it should be. And if we pull it to about there, how does that look? That looks fine. Duplicate again, pull it out, and again, and again, and once again. And that'll do for there. We'll leave the back open. So this, duplicate this, and pull it this way. And at this point, we will bring in this asset just here, which is the end to our fence. So if you import, change the scale to 150, 150, 150, and just quickly align it with the fence, just so as it looks a bit more fancy, if that's a word. So drag and drop there onto village 2. You don't need to worry too much about a box collider on that one because it is relatively small, but I tell you what, we'll add one anyway, just to be sure. So physics, box collider. This fence we'll duplicate again, and again. And we'll leave it there for now. So we're starting to have a bit of a village appear, which not fantastic, but it will start looking much better very soon. So for all intents and purposes, I'm going to cheat a touch. I'm going to select them 3 fences we just created, and the end, duplicate them and pull them out this way and down here towards the edge of our village. And again, duplicate and pull them out this way. Now what we'll quickly do is let's go on to our player, sorry, not the player, our sun here, and what we'll do is let's see, I'm going to change the intensity to 0.1 and press play on the sun just to yeah, I think that looks okay. I'm going for a bit more of a mood lighting look at the moment. So back onto player, onto main camera, and you'll see, where was it? We had skybox here. What I'm quickly going to do is I'm going to change the skybox to dawn dusk, and then replay. There we go. So it looks a bit more, well, mood lighting-y. Because what we're going to quickly do now, before I end this tutorial, is back here on our small town, in the FBX folder, we have a lantern. So if we drag and drop that lantern about there, let's change the scale to 100, 100, 100, which is far too big, as I expected. So maybe 10, 10, 10. Too small. 25, 25, 25. Too big again. So, I don't know, maybe 18, 18, 18. Yeah, that looks about just about right. You can have it whatever size you want. If you want a gigantic lantern, that's up to you. Some towns do have gigantic lanterns, some don't. Okay, so our lantern now, we will drag and drop into village 002. And what I'm also going to do now is game object, create other, and point light. This point light I'm going to drag onto lantern. I'm not going to rename point light. In fact, no, do you know what? I think I will, just for my own sanity. I'll call this lamp light 001. And here on the position, I'm going to 0, 0, 0, and you'll notice it'll go to the base of our lantern. Sorry. If you just pull it up to about there. Let's see, we'll change the colour to maybe a yellowy sort of street lighty colour. About there, I think. Intensity, we'll put to 2.5, I think. Range, let's see, 15. And if we're going to have 15 range, I think we should probably change the intensity back down to about 1.3. Okay, so we have a lantern with a light on it. Duplicate, and let's pull it out this way. And up here. And you'll see, because the point light is attached to the lantern itself, it also moves whenever we move the lantern. Okay, so if we press play now, you'll see that the like I say, the video thumbnail that we have in our video now is starting to look somewhat like what our game will. The landscape is very plain and bare, but that will change fairly soon. So as you can see, over there, our village. Okay, so we'll leave it there for this tutorial. In the next episode, we'll be looking at expanding this little village. We'll be putting a forest in, getting rid of all that plain landscape, that sort of thing, and we'll see where it takes us. So yeah, all links for the assets are in the description below, and hope to see you next time. Thank you very much for watching.